This is VSiN PrimeTime, schedule release special. Now, here's your hosts, Matt Brown and Mike Somich.
It is the schedule release special here on VSiN. Matt Brown and Mike Somich. Oh, Mike, I'm getting choked up here as we sit here and look at some of these schedules. So, again, this Cardinals team, want to put a bow on this real quick because this is a team I think you and I both believe has the possibility to take a step forward throughout the course of the season. And so with that, you kind of start to see, yes, bank the early wins. Then you get to that stretch where Tampa, Rams, Texans, Falcons, Bengals, Rams, if we're trying to get over a win total, so long as you do what you're supposed to do at the beginning of this schedule, then I think 9 is within the realm of possibility here, especially considering we're getting even money on the over. I'm not bullish on 10 wins. I don't think I want to play any alts here because that is a ridiculously tough stretch right there. But stealing 2 of those, along the way, I don't think is crazy.
No, I don't think it's crazy either. And some of these teams we're projecting that we believe are going to be a little bit better in that group, right?
Yeah.
Like we're higher on the Rams. And they've got 2 in that stretch against the Rams. Well, what if the Rams turn out not to be as good as we think they're going to be? Or, you got the Texans and the Falcons there. Those are 2 more teams that could be question marks, as well as the Bucs. What if the Bucs actually get hurt this year? They've run on the right side of injury variance phenomenally well the last 2 seasons. So there are some question marks that are still sitting there. We project those teams to be good, but at that point in the NFL season, they may not be.
Yeah, Week 17 at Cincinnati could be, like we said, the Cincinnati defense is projected to be god-awful. So, I mean, it seems like almost every team, I'm not going to say every team, but a lot of teams are going to be live against Cincinnati strictly just because they can't stop a nosebleed.
Right.
So that's
you could win a shootout.
Yeah. All right, so the 49ers went ahead and spoiled this. I told you I'm not super high on the 49ers this season, but, again, it's kind of like the same deal I said with Seattle. I'm willing to be proven wrong. I'm okay with all of that, but you do still have guys that are out of town now. You also have guys coming off of major injury. I'm not completely sold that Brock Purdy is I'll say he's good, Mike. I'm not going to say he's inside any conversation of the best in the league. So again, I could be convinced this year, but you start out all right? At Seattle, at the Saints. So if you're going road games to start things off, how about the first week under the new regime there with the new quarterback situation and all of that in Seattle, and then you go on the road to one of the 3 worst teams in the NFL at the Saints. So you start out pretty well there. We like the Cardinals a little bit better in week number 3, but then you get the Jags in week number 4. They could be 3-1, and to say if they're better than I think, they could beat the Cardinals. They could be 4-0 heading into week 5 there on that Thursday night football game against the Rams.
Yeah, they definitely could be. And this is the tough part about this 49ers team. I am lower on them from a talent perspective this year than I have been the previous 2 years. However, this is by far the easiest schedule in the NFL when you compare it from a win totals perspective. Easily the number one schedule to have. And you look through here and you can circle the Giants, you can circle the Panthers, you can circle the Titans, you can circle the Colts. There are a lot of winnable games on this schedule for the 49ers. It makes it really difficult for me to be I want to bang the under at 10.5.
Can't fade it.
Because there's so many games they could start out 4-0 and they still have 4 winnable games later in their schedule. If they win 2 coin flips, all of a sudden they're at 10. This is one of those where I would rather be betting the Niners game by game to lose than I would be betting a season win total because of how easy this schedule is.
Yeah, I mean, the stretch is just, guys, starting week 12, it's Panthers, Browns, then you get a bye to heal any wounds right there in week number 14. Titans, Colts. Now, we like the Bears a little bit better, but who knows, again, by then. Bears, Seahawks. This is an absolutely phenomenal stretch. Really, really good for a team that if you're chasing a playoff spot, if you're chasing an over on a 10.5, anything like that, even if you're chasing an alt, because what if they sneak a win, one of these games that we think is a coin flip, it's just, even though I don't like them, like you said, even though I don't like them as a whole, it's just impossible for me to fade them with this schedule.
Yeah, just 4 primetime games. They have one Thursday night game that's early in the season against the Rams, so that's not a big issue from a rest perspective. They just don't have many spots in the schedule like, oh, I definitely want to fade them. They are one of the few teams that has 3 back-to-back road games, but one of them's to start out the year, and then one of them's at the Texans and at the Giants is your second road game. So not overly difficult positions either to try and get around those. So everything kind of is advantageous with how this played out with already a very easy win total strength of schedule as well.
Yeah, I might have to calendar invite myself here on the 49ers because, Mike, I mean, like, look, you get to week 11, if they win that game on the road at the Cardinals, depending on what their record is at that point, I mean, they might be best record contenders. They might be NFC contenders. They certainly division, all of those things, considering how they close out after week number 11 right there at that Cardinals team.
Yeah, I would actually look at after week 9 when they're at the Giants. If they beat that Giants team, then they have the Rams at home, which is a tough game. But if this is a different version of the 49ers than what I'm expecting, if this is a good version of the 49ers, and they have the Rams at home, and then they're at the Cardinals, they could easily win both of those games as well in week 10 and week 11, Matt. And so, yeah, I think the calendar invite here is after week 9 at the Giants. Or I'm sorry, after week 8 at the Texans. And then you try and project them out to win in week 9 with the Giants and then hope that they can win one of the next 2 and go into this easy schedule. So this is a team where I feel like I'll know more information about them. I'll have a better idea of what I feel or my belief in the power rating for this Niners team after those first 8 weeks as well. So I'll calendar invite myself here after week 8 against the Texans to decide if I want to do something positive or negative here for the Niners.
Because, I mean, at the end of the day, Mike, we don't care what our preseason notions are here. And, I mean, like, we just want to make money. So whatever. I could be wrong about the 49ers. I hope I am wrong and can make money on them. You know, I mean, like, whatever. Like, I don't really.
I'd rather be wrong and make money than right and not make a dime.
I don't really care. Yeah, I don't really care. You know, people hold on to their priors so much and they're just kind of like, oh, if only this, if only that. I'm like, I can be wrong. I don't care. I just want to make money off of these teams. So we'll see what we can do there with the 49ers, especially with that schedule the way that sets up. Let's head to the NFC South. New Orleans Saints, who I think real good chance to be the second worst team, if not the worst team. I think they'll be battling the Giants for the worst team in the NFL this year. That being said, Mike, as far as like if we just look back at last year, they only play 4 teams that had a winning record last year. like on the schedule, only 4 teams that had a winning record. Now it's sitting 6.5. I already played the under. I played under 5.5 as well. The under 6.5 has been juiced to hell and back, so you can't really get there anymore. Cardinals, Niners, Seahawks, Bills, 0-4. Giants in week 5. Let's give them a win there. Patriots, you're losing there. At Bears, at Rams, losing there. Losing against the Bucks. At Panthers, let's give them a road game against the Panthers. Let's say that they play really well. Bye week at Falcons, you're losing. At Dolphins, you're losing. At Bucks, you're losing. We'll let them sweep the Panthers at 3. We'll give them the Jets. The Titans is a win. That's a road game anyway, but we'll give them that. And then the Falcons. How in the hell are they getting to 7 wins? I mean, like, seriously, I gave them wins there, Mike. I still only got to 5, and we gave them one more. We still only get to 6. Where are their 7 wins on this schedule for this team?
I don't know. I mean, you're having winning 3 road games.
Right.
I don't think they're going to win 3 road games. This is a team where I'm interested in plus 500 for the fewest wins in the NFL.
Yeah.
And this is not a overly difficult schedule, but at the same time, like, I can't really circle a bunch of wins either. Like you said, you went through the schedule. I maybe circle 1 or 2 games that I think they have a higher than 50% chance, 60% chance of winning.
Yeah.
And when it's that low, I'm willing to fade a team that has no clue what they're doing at quarterback, that realizes they need to be in rebuild mode, that may be moving on from assets as we go through here, that doesn't have a dominant defense, that's running back is getting aged, and that's the real star that you have on the team. Like, this is an easy fade for me. I like the under 5.5, like you mentioned, an alt number. I like the least wins at plus 500.
Think about this. What if the Giants don't go to Dart early in the season? And what if they start one of the veterans to go on? That week 5 game now, the Saints are a dog. Because they're going to go with like whoever they play at quarterback, whatever. Like, so that game now flips on its head because they're probably a dog to the Giants.
Well, they're probably both 0-4 going into that game. and you've got a Giants team that is going to be very fired up to win that football game, and the Saints team that kind of is already accepting their fate in a lot of ways, right? Because the Giants don't have many winnable spots, and the Saints do have winnable spots. I just don't think they win those games.
Yeah, I mean, so this is just, yeah, this is a great fade team. Saints are a great fade team, and again, like I said, I mean, you talk about last winless team, right? I think you got to consider them pretty heavily, especially, like we said, if the Giants don't go with Dart out of the gate and go with one of the vets, you could easily be looking at an 0-6, 0-7, 0-8 team, something like that. And so last win the last winless team, Saints are super, super heavy there in that market. Guys, we talk all the time about how awesome it is downtown. I know if you've been to Vegas and it's been a long time, and you didn't make it down, or you made it down to downtown, and you thought it was like, oh, that's downtown, I need to go back. Well, Circa wasn't built yet, and so you need to come down here and check Circa out. It is the gym of downtown. It is no longer dingy old downtown. It is awesome down here, and Derek Stevens and Circa has a lot to do with that. Going to let you test everything out here. $400 all-in pricing. So you're going to get 2 nights hotel, a $100 dining credit, a $100 beverage credit, and a day bed up at Stadium Swim. Mike, you know all the restaurants. You know all the bars here. You stayed here a ton. $100 dining credit goes a long way. $100 beverage credit goes a long way. And then just to cap it off, you get to go up to Stadium Swim and hang out and watch some games and chill in that awesome setting up there. Just a really, really great deal. And again, that is all in pricing. That is no additional fees and all the nonsense that you get other places.
Yeah, it's a ridiculous deal. I mean, you're getting $200 back of the $400 you're spending on food and beverage, and you're getting 2 nights. I mean, you're never getting 2 nights at Circa for $100 each, and on top of it, you get the day bed.
Yeah.
If you're going to do this, use this deal. It's awesome. Circa is incredible.
Unbelievable, guys. Again, CircaLasVegas.com, $400 all-in pricing there. Let's talk the Bucks, the Panthers, and the Falcons when we come back.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
You're tuned in to VSiN PrimeTime, schedule release special, right here on VSiN, the sports betting network.
VSiN PrimeTime NFL schedule release special. Matt Brown, Mike Somich. Quick note: if you are a Knicks fan, glad you're here with us instead of watching the game, because it's a 20-point deficit for you here in the fourth quarter. Mike, it's one of those things where you look and typically we're like, okay, well, if you look at the 3-point percentage, then, you know, that can tell the tale. They're shooting 41% from 3, but the Celtics just going nuts. They're shooting 45% from 3 and 49% from the floor, and that gives them a 99-77 lead.
Yeah, the last 5 points for the Knicks all come via free throws. The last time they had a made field goal was at the 4:25 minute left in the third quarter. So we are approaching an 8-minute field goalless drought here for the Knicks. Not a great time for that to happen for them.
The hashtag could be worse as well. The 17 of 26 from the free throw line for the Celtics as well. So left a whole bunch of points out there on the floor. So could be worse for them over there. And over on the ice, Panthers 4-0 on the Maple Leafs there. 17:28 left in the third period. Mike, probably no miracle comeback here in this one.
Going to be tough here. And the Maple Leafs, after jumping out to that 2-0 lead in the series at home, lose both games in Florida. They could have won one of those two. Now they're going to drop Game 5 at home. They're going to have to try and stave off elimination in South Florida in Game 6, which is a very tall task. Panthers team very good at home.
So as we look here further into the NFC South, it is a division in which we have already said we think could possibly be the worst division. I mean, there are some that are certainly in contention for all of that. And so by default, what you're going to get here is the Tampa Bay Bucks as your favorite in the division. They are even money to win the NFC South. So, Mike, I think we can say, I said the Saints are going to be one of the 2-3 worst teams. I think you agree. Panthers, though they played better at the end of last season, probably still have a little bit to go. Falcons, we don't really know what Penix is made of. So by default, the Bucs come into this likely to make the playoffs, likely to be favored in all 6 of the games in which they play interdivision as well. And when you can just kind of look at your schedule and say, okay, we're going to be favorites 6 different games automatically off the bat, and then you look down the schedule and also see the Jets, and you also see the Falcons a couple of different times there late in the season. I think what you're looking at is a team in the Bucs where if this stretch after week 12 with the Rams, Cardinals, Saints, Falcons, Panthers, Dolphins, Panthers. Now, you're a Dolphins fan. We'll talk about the Dolphins a little bit later, but you're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 straight games to end the season in which you're going to be probably favored in all of them. Maybe not at the Dolphins in week 17, but they won't be big dogs for sure.
Oh, they'll be favored at the Dolphins in week 17. We don't have to talk about the Dolphins if you don't want to, Matt. I'm fine with skipping over them entirely here. That's my outlook on the Dolphins
So
season.
you think 6 straight games in which they're favored to close the season out?
Yes, I think they'll be favored in all 6 of those games. They're 2.5-point favorites at the Falcons in week 1, so they're definitely favored at home against the Falcons there. I don't see them being a dog to anyone else except maybe the Dolphins, but again, we'll get to this Dolphins team and the schedule and the outlook for them here in the upcoming season. We go through the AFC East, but I do expect they're favored in all those 6 games. If anyone is competing for the division, in my mind, it's the Falcons, and Penix is able to make that offense click and move the football. The defense is decent. They made some upgrades in the offseason. So this is the most likely division winner. That's why you're sitting and seeing them at even money. It's hard to really create a narrative around the Panthers and say they're going to be able to improve enough to become a division threat. And then you look at the Falcons, and it's like we don't fully know what we're going to get from them. So logically, I think everything with this Buccaneers team makes sense. If you do see the Panthers struggle, I think playing Tampa after week 12 makes some sense to win the division, to be able to look at a situation where you can play them to make the playoffs, depending on what the prices are there. But this is a team I'm more likely to bet game to game than I am to bet the over and under on the win total, just because I'm still concerned that this is an older roster. It's one of the older rosters in the NFL. Yeah. Love Bucky Irving, but there's still a bunch of other pieces that could get hurt and drastically affect what type of team Tampa is able to put out there.
Yeah, Mike, like you said, we're looking at a schedule that starts out Falcons, Texans, Jets, Eagles, Seahawks, Niners, at the Lions on Monday Night Football, then at the Saints in week number 8, a bye week in week number 9. The lines that are posted on our DraftKings, you mentioned the week number 1 game, they're 2.5-point favorites on the road at the Falcons. They're only 1.5 dogs on the road at the Texans on Sunday Night Football. So like coin flip there. 7.5-point favorites against the Jets. Only 1.5 dogs to the Eagles. Of course, that is a home game against that Eagles team. 1.5 favorites against the Seahawks on the road. 1.5 favorites against the 49ers at home. And then here's where you see them as a significant dog, is a 3.5-point dog to the Lions on the road there in week number 7, but then bounce right back to being 5.5-point favorites against the Saints on the road there in week number 8. So only significant dogs to the Lions in week number 7. Every other game for the first 8 weeks for this Bucs team is either favorites or coin flip.
Yeah, it is, but it's a lot of coin flips, and I'm not sure that they run on the right side of variance because, like, look, the Eagles, I realize they're 1.5. I'd probably lay the 1.5 right now with the Eagles if I could get that number.
Sure.
Like, if that was a week 1 game and we were the day before, right? Not saying obviously I can get the number, but if I knew the exact scenario, I'm probably leaning Eagles there based on the power rating, even with them on the road. I'm surprised that they're 2.5-point favorites over the Falcons in week 1, to be honest with you. I thought that would be shorter or even a slight favoritism toward the Falcons. So I might have to go back and look at my power rankings here because I clearly have the Bucs power rated lower than the market right now.
Yeah, it is certainly a team that seems to be getting backed. Yeah, like getting backed for sure here on this Bucs squad. All right, we talked about the Panthers. We said they ended the season with a little bit of spunk. And I think that's fair to say, Mike. Like, Bryce Young gets benched. He comes back in. I don't know what happened when he was benched. Maybe all the pressure got released, whatever it was. Like, your first pick overall, you're failing. He comes back in, looks like a decent NFL quarterback. The only problem here is just you really just question the talent around him, and if there's enough to win enough, like any games really for this team.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big question. Are we going to see another improvement from Bryce Young during the offseason? We're going to see him make a secondary leap after what we saw when he came back into the game. And then what's this defense going to look like? This has been the worst run defense in football for back-to-back years. They can't stop the pass either. It's not good. And so it's what are you going to get from this Panthers defense in the offseason? We're seeing some money coming on them to the over here. So there's 6.5 from the win total perspective, -125 to the over. You kind of go up and down the schedule, and it feels like a fairly flat schedule. Like I don't have any areas circled where I think they're in a ton of trouble, but there's not any areas where like, well, there's a 3 or 4 game win streak either. So this is a schedule that like I think 6.5 is about right. I don't fully believe this Panthers team takes a step forward that a lot of other people do.
No, so this is a team that you just bet week to week because I think the offense is going to be good enough to win games against weak teams, and I think the defense is bad enough where they're going to get housed against good teams. So it's not really a season-long bet. I think this is just one of those teams you have to bet week to week because, as you mentioned, I mean, like, the defense is just hole after hole after hole after hole after hole, whereas on the offense, like, dude, they got a pretty decent offensive line. You know, you still have Thielen. Can Leggett step up and, like, you know, take a step forward? Chuba Hubbard's still there. Bryce Young. They get McMillan in the draft. I mean, the offense could probably win some games against some bad teams, but I think, like, the good teams are going to score a trillion on them.
Well, this could be an over team, Matt, where you're just looking for the right spots to play overs because they'll be able to chase. That's one thing we saw this Panthers team do is chase points and put points up on the board when they were chasing. Their defense loves to give them up. So I don't mind the Bills team total over week 8. I wouldn't be shocked if this Panthers game goes over week 1 because Jacksonville, another secondary that I don't believe in. So this may just be an over Panthers team.
3 of their first 4 games on the road. So we will see what this Panthers team is made of for sure early on in the season. Falcons, a team really tough for me to handicap, Mike. I just don't know about anything about Michael Penix, right? I mean, the small sample size that we saw, I think he was fine. Win total sitting at 7.5 right now. You open at the Bucs. We just talked about that. They're 2.5-point dogs to the Bucs at home. You're going to go on the road to the Vikings, and then you're at the Panthers. So you get a game where you're a dog at home, followed by 2 road games, then followed by a game against the Commanders that we know is going to be a hard game as well, and then you go into the bye at week 5. I just could they be 0-4? Maybe. I mean, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, this is a schedule or a calendar invite team to me. Week 7, they take on the 49ers. After that, you've versus Dolphins, at Patriots, at Colts, versus Panthers, versus Saints, at Jets, versus Seahawks. It's a lot of winnable games if they're a decent football team, Matt. Like this is a team that could rip off quite a few in a row once they get past that Bills-Niners stretch.
Mike, as I scroll down, we talked about 2.5-point dogs to the Bucs, 4.5-point dogs to the Vikings. They are 1.5 dogs to the Panthers. They're in week number 3, and then 3.5-point dogs to the Commanders. They will be dogs in the first 4 games as they head into the bye there in week number 5. We know there will be a dog to the Bills as well. We keep on rolling through these schedules here on VSiN PrimeTime.
You're tuned in to VSiN PrimeTime, schedule release special, right here on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Rolling along here on the schedule release special, Matt Brown and Mike Somich. We've made it through over on the NFC side of things. Want to head to the AFC, start to break down some of the stuff over there. Mike, this Patriots team, I really like what they did in the offseason. I'm not going to lie. Like, I really like what this Patriots team did. And so with that, you come in and look at a team that's, even though they went 4-13, we're looking at an 8.5 preseason win total here on this team. And maybe a little aggressive, but then you look and see this schedule, and boy, a bunch of soft landing spots, a bunch of places you really like where they are sitting. I mean, Raiders, Dolphins, Steelers, Panthers to open the season. I know you don't like talking about your Dolphins. We don't know who's playing quarterback for the Steelers. Raiders in week 1, got to feel pretty good about that with the Raiders going across the country there. I mean, less of an impact in week number 1, but still making the trip over there. home game, and then the Panthers at home in week 4. Are we going to be talking about a 4-0 New England Patriots team?
We could. We could also be talking about a 6-1 New England Patriots team because they're at the Bills, but after that it's at Saints, at Titans versus Browns. Pretty easy landing spots there. If you look at the home games for this New England team, versus Raiders, versus Steelers, versus Panthers, versus Browns, versus Falcons, versus Jets, versus Bills, versus Dolphins. 5-3 at worst at home. Like, this is the second easiest schedule when you look at the strength of schedule via win totals in Las Vegas there. It's just really playable, and there's a lot of winning spots. And look, I'll go just get out of the way here. I think my Dolphins are going to stink this year. That defense is awful. To me, the Dolphins games are easier than they look on paper as well.
If you guys didn't see what they did in the offseason, I mean, like, this team just went in and just loaded up on defense. So we've talked about these defenses we love. The Patriots are going to be another one of those defenses that we absolutely love. This year, you guys know we talk all the time about Pro Football Focus and the rating system, and while it's not the end-all, be-all with their grades over there, Mike, we know how it works out. Green is good, right? There are a lot of green players on the defensive side of the ball for this Patriots team. I think what we saw in Drake May last year was very promising. Then you went and you got him a couple of weapons as well. Boy, how do I say a 4-win team from last year, the only way I could go would be over on the 8.5, but I think as I look at this, it's the only way I could go.
Well, you're also going from Gerard Mayo to a legitimate head coach, right? And Mike Vrabel. Like, this is the biggest upgrade we have at head coach this offseason as well. So it's not just the players, but it's also bringing Vrabel in there and putting him behind the scenes of the rest of giving him the reins to this team. I agree with you. This is overpass. I think this is the second best team in the AFC East. I think that they are better than the Jets. I think they are better than the Dolphins. I think that's going to prove itself on the field this year.
So we're not going to say, Mike, we're not counting these as wins, but let's just say winnable, okay?
Yeah.
Raiders, Dolphins, Steelers, Panthers, Saints, Titans, Browns, Falcons, Jets, Giants, Jets again, Dolphins again. That's 12 winnable games. We're not saying they're going to win them all, but like 12 winnable games.
The Bengals is winnable too. They could beat the Bengals on the road with that defense.
Yeah. I mean, again,
I know you love Burrow. You love
but we're just putting it out there. I mean, like, again, so we're talking about a win total that's 8.5. 12 games that we think are at least winnable for this team. And what if they're even better than we think? And like you said, now that Cincinnati game becomes more winnable. Maybe that Bucs game becomes more winnable. I don't know, man. I could only go the over, and it's even money. It's juiced towards the under. I guess people were not loving as much as what we did. I guess it's not as flashy on the offensive side, but hell, if the teams are only averaging 17 against you and you're only asking for 20 from Drake May, I think we could win some games here, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 games on the schedule that aren't winnable. At Bills, at Ravens.
Yeah.
Everything else, they've got a puncher's chance, at least, right? It's a very easy schedule for a team that improved a ton on the defensive side at the head coaching position and marginally improved on the offensive side. And by the way, this is the second year for a rookie quarterback who was legitimately good in his rookie season. In my mind, he's got the best chance to take a second-year leap outside of maybe Caleb Williams, who obviously has a lot more weapons around him and a better system. But if Drake May improves, that's all you need for this offense to get better. You don't need any other pieces. You just need him to get better.
And Mike, it wasn't sexy. I understand that. But you and I kept betting Drake May over on his rushing yards because he was running for his life last year. So they spent their first-round pick on Will Campbell to come in and play left tackle for them. And so at least his blind side is covered now. Man, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm going to put a question mark. I'm writing it down. I'm not going to say it's going in there, but I'm writing it down.
Well, we got division bets that are available now at a lot of different sports books. If you go to division specials and you go exact order 1-2 in the NFC East, you can get Bills 1, Patriots 2 at plus 150. So essentially, I think the Bills run away with this division. Spoiler alert. I think everyone thinks that, right? The Patriots, in my mind, are the second best team with a much easier schedule than the Dolphins.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably a good way to look at it. All right, let's go to the Jets. Aaron Rodgers, he gone. Devontae Adams, he gone. Garrett Wilson's still there. Justin Fields is now your quarterback. Take with that what you will. The interior line is actually pretty good. You drafted Mimbu, so, you would assume that the tackle position it got shored up at least a little bit there as well. The defense that we used to think, this is the calling card of the Jets, that's fallen away. There's really, outside of Sauce Gardner, a couple of guys that you can rely on, but certainly nothing you love, not on the defensive line, that's for sure as well. Probably going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL. 5.5 win total. Mike, it's heavily juiced towards the over at -160. Starting out with the Steelers, I guess that's winnable considering we don't really know what's going on with the quarterback position there. I guess if you insert Aaron Rodgers, that makes that game way less winnable. The Bills, that's a loss. At the Bucks, that's a loss. Dolphins, you think's a coin toss maybe at this point since you don't like them. Cowboys, maybe a coin toss. Broncos is a loss. I don't know. Maybe it is an over team even though I hate them, but it's nothing I'm running to the window for.
No, me either. I mean, when I'm betting overs on bad teams, I'm like, can I circle any wins? Right? And I can circle versus Browns. They should win that game. At Saints, I think they should win that game. That's 2. Those are the circles. Like I can't like come out and say, I really like the Jets in this spot outside of those 2 games. When you look at the back-to-back road games, which we've talked about a couple times here, they're back-to-back at Bucks, at Dolphins. They're back-to-back at Patriots, at Ravens. They're back-to-back at Jags, at Saints. So another team that has 3 of those back-to-back situations. And I don't love the coaching staff. I don't love Justin Fields. I think this is the number one organization that could have turmoil with Breece Hall and with Garrett Wilson on the outside, just from a inner locker room perspective. Like this just feels like a mess.
And even like you brought up winnable games. Like you don't even get a bonus with the bye because it's like you come out of the bye and it's the Browns. Like that's the one team you don't want to have to come out of the. That's your winnable game. You don't have to you want the extra week to prepare for a game that you know what I'm saying? Like an extra week for one of these other games. Instead, not the one game that you feel good about, on the whole schedule with all of this. I mean, so we heard Johnny Avello earlier from DraftKings Sportsbook say they are booking currently as if Aaron Rodgers is going to be the quarterback for the Steelers. So what we have right now, Mike, is the Steelers as 2.5-point favorites over the Jets in week number 1. So, again, that's based off the fact that they think it's going to be Aaron Rodgers. They are 8.5-point dogs to the Bills. They are 7.5-point dogs to the Bucks. 5.5-point dogs to the Dolphins. They are...
That's not good. You don't want to be 5.5 points. Like we'll get into the Dolphins next. But look, they're going to lose a lot of football games.
1.5 dogs to the Cowboys. 6.5
at home.
6.5 to Denver over in London. So the first game they're favored is 1.5 against the Panthers. So a coin flip against the Panthers at home.
And if you told me one team was better in week 7 and one team was worse in week 7 than we expected, the Panthers are 100% the better team, and the Jets are the worst team. Like, there's so much more that could go wrong for this Jets organization than the Panthers organization in 6 weeks.
Then 7.5 to Cincinnati. Then of course, then they're 2.5-point favorites against the Browns. So then that's where you get to on the schedule with this Jets team.
Not great.
Maybe
it'll be a long year in New York. Maybe a lot of losses for the New York teams.
Maybe the under is the play at plus money, right? Since they juiced up this over so heavily with all of that. Guys, we talk about the splits page all the time. Go in. You can dip your toe in for $9.99. So first month, only $10. It's a cup of coffee these days, so just go in, give us a try. VSiN.com/subscribe. You can see what we got going on over that splits page. You can see what's happening at DraftKings, the big national sports book, or at Circa, one that's here in a handful of states but takes the bigger bets and the sharper action. So compare, contrast, do what you will. Maybe it's a tiebreaker for you. $9.99 for your first month. VSiN.com/subscribe.
If you work in quality control at a candy factory, you know strict safety regulations come with the job. It's why you partner with Grainger. Grainger helps you find the high quality and compliant products your business needs to inspect, detect, and help correct issues. And the sweetest part is, everyone gets a product that's as safe to eat as it is delicious. Call 1-800-GRANGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
You're tuned in to VSiN PrimeTime, schedule release special, right here on VSiN, the sports betting network.
It is a schedule release special here on VSiN PrimeTime. Matt Brown, Mike Somich. We just ran through the Jets, and we're like, oh boy, there's a lot of losses on that schedule. Not only that, there are going to be dogs in a lot of games. Only a real favorite in that game against the Browns, and I venture to say the Browns are going to be dogs in nearly every single one of their games that they're over the course of the season. But let's get to Mike's Dolphins here. And Mike hates his Dolphins. He loves to root for them, but he hates them in real life. And so here we go. They are on the road at the Colts in week number 1, Mike, as short dogs, actually, against a Colts team that we are, or at least I should say, I shouldn't say we. I don't want to speak for you. I'm not in love with.
You can say we.
I'm not in love with.
You can say we.
I don't like this Colts team. But short dogs, 1.5 there in week number 1 on the road at the Colts. We know for sure they're going to be dogs against the Patriots, in which they are, oh my goodness. Mike, there it is. Dolphins are favorites against the Pats in week 2.
Yeah, because it's in Miami. The Pats have struggled in Miami, but I still like the Patriots in that game.
Ooh, it's 2.5 too. We could juice that up to 8.5. There's our teaser. Let's make a future week 2 teaser. Wait, let's do it. Why not?
You don't want to go 18-leg teaser 1 week?
I mean, that is juicy right there. So again, the Dolphins are actually favored there in week number 2 against the Pats. 8.5-point dogs on Thursday Night Football at the Bills. And as we mentioned, they are big favorites, 5.5 over the Jets. But again, as we ran through, the Jets are basically dogs to everybody except the Browns. Justified then in week number 2 to be a favorite over the Pats?
I mean, we'll see what this team looks like. That's part of the problem here. I mean, you've got the Jalen Ramsey issue. He's most likely not going to be a Dolphin by the time the season starts. Tyreek Hill.
I've all but ruled him out. Like I think he's gone.
Ramsey or Hill?
Yeah, Ramsey.
Or both. Yeah, Ramsey's gone. Yeah. And this defense, which I thought was going to be very good 2 years ago, I thought the future was bright for this defense, is now an absolute mess. The secondary is awful. You've got multiple defensive linemen coming back from major injuries. You don't know what you're going to get from Tua for a full complete season because of the health issues and concerns we've had there. The offensive line is still not very good. And then you look at the back half of the schedule. At the Patriots week 18, that's a cold weather game. At the Steelers week 15, that's a cold weather game. At the Jets week 14, that's a cold weather game. This is like worst case scenario if you were drawing up a schedule for the Dolphins with how many outdoor games they're going to be playing later in the season where they're notoriously terrible when they're going into those games. Like the games you're circling, you're saying we can definitely win, or versus the Saints, versus the Jets, right? You're picking on the low level teams, but at the Browns is probably a coin flip in week 7. Like this is just not a good schedule for a Dolphins team that I think is taking a big step back from last year where they went 8-9. Like and I'm a Dolphins fan. I want to be optimistic about this team. Right. I think this is a worse version than last year, especially on the defensive side. And I have question marks about what you're going to get offensively from them. I don't see where you're getting 9 wins out of the schedule.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking here with you, and it's kind of like it doesn't, even though they're not like games you hate, it's almost like you'd rather the tough games be outdoors on the road, and then you get like the Jets and Steelers at home, right? I mean, like yep. Instead, it's now you're adding an element of risk to these games in which you would feel really, really confident about if maybe they were home, but now you're on the road at the Jets, you're on the road at the Steelers, you're on the road at the Pats. They're down the stretch, which we know every one of those games are going to be, sub 40 degrees, if not sub 30 degrees in some of those situations. And so, yeah, man, it didn't break all that well. And oh, by the way, throw in Cincinnati on Sunday Night Football week 16, throw in the Bucs week 17, where I guess maybe the Bucs could be coasting at that point, but we don't see teams let up in week 17. It's really the week 18 type of deal. So get that win in week 13
yeah.
against the Saints. Yeah, I mean,
there you go. you're seeing the issue here. Week 9 on, versus Ravens, versus Bills, versus Commanders. That's what you're doing going into the bye. And that last game is in Spain. So they're a dog to the Commanders in Spain. And then you come out of the bye, it's versus Saints. Okay, we can win that game. But again, it's another one you wish wasn't out of the bye. You would rather have a different opponent out of the bye there. And then you have 3 road games in snow and 2 home games against good teams. This is a brutal schedule, really, from week 8 on. Because you're at the Falcons in week 8. This is a Miami team that maybe starts out 3-3, 4-3, somewhere in that range, but then falls apart later in the season. And oh, by the way, Miami's fallen apart late in the season the last 2 years with better rosters. I just don't see how the optimism for the late season push from the Dolphins can be there. This is a team that I'm hoping starts out 4-2. Yeah. 5-2. And then we can just hammer the win total under, hammer to miss the playoffs. This is a definitely a invite team after week 7 against the Browns, because the back half of the schedule is as bad as it could be for the Dolphins.
Mike, I am looking here at week number 6, and I understand it's the whole trip across the country type thing. The Chargers are only 1.5 favorites against the Dolphins there in week number 6. I think both of us think if we're power rating, the Chargers are much higher on our power rating scale. Also, a few weeks for the Chargers to kind of get this whole new system in play here. I don't know. I mean, I'm not one to bet a week 6 game and just let the money sit. But if you are so inclined, I have the Chargers much higher than the Dolphins.
Is there a week 18 number yet? I haven't looked that far ahead. I don't see one yet on DraftKings. I would think
they've done it yet. Yeah.
I would love to bet the Patriots week 18 against the Dolphins. At home. You know you're going to get snow. I think the Patriots are still in play for possibly the 6 or 7 seed in the AFC. I think the Dolphin season's over by then. That to me is another one where it's just a brutal spot to end the season for this Dolphins team.
The Buffalo Bills, one of your Super Bowl favorites, and rightfully so, in all of this, Mike. It is a very, very good team. It is, even though they weren't incredibly active in the offseason, I still think that, head and shoulders the best team here in this division. And so with that, you get a win total of 11.5. And not only do you get a win total of 11.5, you get a win total of 11.5 that is juiced minus 160 towards the over. Ravens Sunday Night Football in week 1, that could be 0-1. I will just say that could definitely be 0-1, even though it is a home game against that Ravens team. Now, at Jets, Dolphins, Saints, you're getting those 3. So even if you lose the Ravens, you're 3-1 right there. Patriots is interesting. Falcons you're getting the Panthers. But then you go to the Chiefs, and then the Chiefs come to your place, I guess, there in week number 9. I don't know, 12 wins. What do you think 12 wins for this Bills team?
I think this is your number 1 seed in the AFC. I like how their schedule broke for them. When you look at their toughest games, it's the Ravens, the Chiefs, and the Eagles. All 3 of those are home games. Their next 2 toughest games, the Bengals and the Bucks. They're both home games.
I just ran through this. Yes. Look at these road games. It's the This is laughable.
Yes.
It's Jets, Falcons, Panthers, Dolphins. So Texans you could count as a hard one, right? But then Steelers, Pats, Browns, Jets. That's the softest road schedule you will ever see.
That is why I think they make the most sense for number 1 seed in the AFC. You can get plus 350 on that right now. Their toughest 4-5 games are all at home, and they have just cupcake road games. And if this is a Bills team that travels well, that's able to play well on the road, and then they are very good at home. Let's say they go 1-2 in the Ravens, Chiefs, and the Eagles games at home. They still end up winning 12 or 13 games on this schedule. I think this broke beautifully for the Bills when you look at how it's spaced as well, because those games, one's early, one's middle, one's late. I couldn't have drew up a better schedule here for the Bills and how this sets up for them because of how easy the road schedule is and how the major games for them are spread out at home. None of them are after tough spots. The Ravens to open the season. The Chiefs are after you play at the Panthers. The Eagles are after you play at the Browns. This just broke beautifully for Buffalo.
Yeah, I mean, so the Texans Thursday night game is really like the only road game you're worried about at all.
Yep.
And if you mess around and lose it, I mean, I guess so be it, right?
Yeah. It is what it is, and that like that's after a home game against the Bucks, right, on a Sunday night. So it is a little bit of a short week. So that's the one you're really worried about. But like you said, when you go through these road games, they win all but one, probably, maybe lose two of them. And do you think the Bills are going to have a losing record at home? No, they're not. So it's like this is just one of those where I get why it's juiced to the over. I think this is your number one seed from the AFC. I think if you want Buffalo exact matchup Super Bowl tickets, they're the team you parlay in with some NFC teams. This is a great spot to be a Bills fan.
Guys, it is $199 for 14 months of VSiN Pro. We're running a special right now over at VSiN.com/subscribe, so you can go in and get every single thing that we do for just $199 for 14 months, not just the 12. You get the 2 extra months for free. Use the promo code PRO, P-R-O, over on VSiN.com/subscribe, and that's going to get you everything we do, including the best bets, the betting splits, all of the stuff that we do from a betting guide perspective, the daily handicapping of everything going on in the sports world, and, of course, all the betting guides as well. VSiN.com/subscribe. $199 for 14 months, promo code PRO.